Our programming right now, we have breaking news now in the 14-day manhunt in Kelso Valley. Just hours ago, we learned that deputies have expanded their search zone, and we learn now that Sheriff Donny Youngblood is addressing the media with the latest details.
And we are going to go out to the Sheriff's headquarters right now for that address right now.
The homicide, and through the investigation of both units, it was discovered today that we were able to identify our suspect. And our suspect is listed as a black male. And you can see the confusion that probably occurred when we listed him as not being a black male. But his on his driver's license application or on his arrest record, it's listed as a black male. And what's unique about this individual is he has hazel eyes, which are green, and very light-skinned black man. Less than 2% of the population have hazel eyes. We have been able to connect, we believe very confidently, the 3 separate crime scenes with this gentleman right here. His name is Benjamin Peter Ashley. Mr. Ashley is 34 years old, 5'11", 180 pounds, black hair, green eyes, and again, he is a black male. He has a history of being born in San Diego. He's been arrested in Bear Valley Springs, Tehachapi area. He's been arrested in Los Angeles, Glendale, Merced, and Yosemite. And with that, I can't go into too great a detail in this investigation because it's still ongoing. But again, I'd like to commend the officers and the civilians of this organization for the commitment and the tenacity to get to where we're at, and we're not done yet. So with that, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to try and answer those.
How specifically does positive identification help you guys in the search for this individual out in the mountains?
Well, certainly we believe that he's still within our perimeter, but there is a possibility with all the movement that the deputies in the field have seen that at some point he could get out of our perimeter. And we believe this is a very dangerous person, and public safety is the #1 concern for me as the sheriff and for this organization. So if that occurs, we want the public to have that information and know what they're looking for.
Can you tell us what exact evidence you currently have to show that he's still in that perimeter?
I cannot tell you exactly what evidence, but I can tell you that you conduct your investigation, use all the tools that are available to law enforcement to try fingerprints, DNA, identification from witnesses, a myriad of things that you can use to identify people.
Does he have a past history of violence?
An extensive criminal history. And
Violence like
there is, not to this, was not surprising to us when we found it. Yes, sir.
How long can you keep up that kind of presence in the mountains with that many personnel?
Until he's in custody or until we're sure that he's out of the area.
What about cost? Do we have an estimate there? What this is costing?
And I realize that's a question that is extremely important in this county, but right now it is not my priority to figure out what this costs. My priority is to get this person in custody that's brutally murdered someone, that's shot 2 deputy sheriffs, and kidnapped 3 people. And it's no matter what it costs, we have to prevent him from doing any other harm to anybody else. Yes, sir.
Did the search go outside of the 5-mile perimeter that was set earlier? Because there was a roadblock at Kelso Valley and Kelso Creek. Was that in the initial 5 square mile area?
No.
So you're looking beyond the 5 square miles?
The 5 square miles is not a fence that we're looking just in that perimeter, because this whole thing is moving. As you clear part of it, you move to someplace else and clear that. If you find evidence of break-in in a house or a cabin that someone's ransacked, then you try and work that crime scene to see if you can connect it.
Do you believe he's picked up any more firearms, food, something that's...
We're 2 weeks into the investigation. He obviously has had food and water and firearms. We know he's got plenty of firearms. So we assume he's still armed and he's still extremely dangerous.
What led you guys to identify him? Was it a certain person who came forward, or how did you guys get to this point?
Again, it's a combination of a lot of things in law enforcement that you can use to identify people. And some are more of a positive ID than others. We're confident this is our guy.
Does he have any military training or special survival training that you know of?
We haven't gotten there yet. This is really the identity of the suspect occurred basically today. Came to my attention and the detectives are working that end of it to find out where he comes from. We believe he's homeless. We believe that he has traveled throughout Southern California and Merced and Yosemite. We know he was in Yosemite National Park because he was contacted there and in an area that he should not have been in. So we're confident that this guy is very mobile and he's a survivor.
Do you think he has a car, or has that even been considered?
We know that he has stolen 2 vehicles during this episode, so we have not ruled out the fact that he could steal some other vehicle. And one of my biggest fears is have a police officer in this state make a car stop on this guy and not know what they got. And that's one of the main driving forces, that and public safety, why we're doing what we're doing right now.
Sir, do you know which photo is the most current, up there, left or right or center?
I think the one in the center is the one that's probably the most realistic. If you look at the clothing, it appears to be a transient, that not well dressed. The one on the far left is a driver's license focus. If you notice on the 2 pictures on the outside, on the nose piece, you can see where glasses were worn. And in the center is he's now wearing glasses. We think that probably is the most recent.
Of the 5 square mile area that's currently being scoured right now, do you have like a percentage as to the amount of that area that has been searched at this stage?
I do not. And because we've searched one area doesn't mean we're not going to go back and search it again, because this is very difficult to establish a perimeter and then secure it so that it's not contaminated. Yes.
Have you guys any visual contact from a distance even of his movement?
I don't know what you mean by visual. Of him?
Seen him, yeah.
We're in a shootout with him.
Besides that point?
No,
After
not
that
to my
point?
knowledge.
Now, at the initial shootout, obviously 2 deputies. Now, the Kern County Sheriff's deputies?
Yes, part of the SWAT team. There's more than 2 deputies that went into this mobile home.
2 were wounded. I'm assuming all 4 exchanged fire with him or discharged?
There was several rounds fired, and I believe either 3 or 4 of the SWAT team members fired.
And no indication that he was wounded.
And you have been listening live to Kern County Sheriff Donny Youngblood addressing the media for the first time here in town about this situation. And as we have learned now, the suspect, as you can see there on your screen, identified as Benjamin Peter Ashley, born in San Diego, arrested up and down California, including here in Kern County, in Bear Valley, in Tehachapi, and other areas. He has an extensive criminal record. Sheriff Donny Youngblood just moments ago saying this: they are confident this is their guy. As we now enter day 14 of this search, Youngblood described this suspect, Ashley, as homeless, as a transient, and they also believe he may have stolen multiple vehicles, which could be a game changer in this investigation. But as they mentioned, they think they have an area where they know this suspect is, in the Weldon area. But given the fact that they believe he may have stolen multiple vehicles, obviously that is a point in the investigation that could be a turning point.
And another turning point in this is that all this time they believed they were following a white male up in the mountains, and he is in fact an African-American male and has green eyes, which he says is highly unusual and could have led to some confusion, but he is in fact African-American and still in that 30 to 35 year age range.
Yeah, he mentioned right off the top, as Youngblood was addressing the pictures on the screen, saying in so many words that they did have some discrepancies identifying the suspect, as we've seen only for the last 2 weeks now, a sketch of this suspect as they believed him to be. Now, as we mentioned, Donny Youngblood saying they are confident this is their guy. They're using a combination of investigations that have played out in the valley. They've said they've found firearms, they've found cabins that have been ransacked. They believe this suspect, again, Benjamin Peter Ashley, has food and water, obviously, able to survive on the run in the Kelso Valley area or wherever he might be. And as we mentioned, this Youngblood describing this suspect as still armed and dangerous. He mentioned he has plenty, Youngblood said he believes he has plenty of firearms and is still considered armed and dangerous.
And I believe he also mentioned that he had had some sort of run-in with the law in the Yosemite area, which indicates that he probably does have some experience of being up in the mountains. So we don't know. He says he doesn't know if there's any indication that he's a survivalist yet, but maybe that is something we will be hearing more of in the days ahead.
And as we mentioned, they are expanding this search area to include Weldon. This is a large swath of the Kern County Valley area in the mountains between Lake Isabella and Tehachapi. As we mentioned, we will have continuing coverage of this.
Yes, we will. Stay with 23 ABC for the very latest on that manhunt on our Facebook page, also on our website, turn23.com. You can get a complete history of how this investigation has gone so far, and you can also, of course, get the very latest information on our mobile and tablet apps.
And of course, in just about 2 hours, we'll be live live here on 23 ABC with the latest developments, a live report. We're going to recap all the information for you and have the very latest ahead.
There are people that know him. There are people that know his habits. There are people out there that probably run with him. And we believe that if he gets out of our perimeter and he's walking down the streets, this will help us generate calls. We're going to establish a line for the public to call in so that they can give us the tips and any information that they have. We think this isn't just impactful of us or the Markowitz family or the 3 young men. This is impactful of the entire community up there. They're having trouble sleeping because they believe this guy is still in the area. And that's a reasonable fear. And so it's our job to commit to this. And I think by now you know that I'm committed to this. Yes?
Is it possible to get a more definitive location of the cabin where the kidnapping occurred?
Not for me because I don't have it.
Maybe down to even a half a mile rough?
I don't have that information.
Does somebody?
It's on the map. That's, I mean.
You have to land long quickly.
Yeah.
Anybody else? You know, lastly, I'd like to thank the media. You've been very cooperative. I realize you guys are spending a lot of time out there, just like we are. You probably have learned to love the country like we do. And we know that you've had to commit to this. You've been very helpful with us, and you have not been intrusive, and we really greatly appreciate that. So with that, I want to thank you very much. Do we have the phone number for them?
We do. The tip line number is on the wanted poster.
Right down.
We have hard copies of the wanted poster, and as soon as we're done here, I'll be sending it all out electronically via news release. You're also welcome to come up and get photos of the pictures, and we have hard copies you can take.
You know, you can.